I think one thing that really helped us is the onboarding process because there is an onboarding process. Sometimes that's a one-off appointment, but often enough there can be a follow-up and there can be even some email back and forth. And so they get to know their onboarder a bit and there's a little bit of a relationship. And that's positive, which leads to the final point, which is if you look at individuals in that group like John and like Philip and potential others there, the relationships that they're building, like they can identify that's a customer that I resonated with and I understand this problem about them. And our team has the wherewithal to say, and that's something that I know resonates with how many other customers. So they know the relationship, they know they have the relationship, they know the individual, and they recognize, wait a minute, this is something we haven't talked about yet that resonates across our customer base.
Yeah, I think the relationship is huge because everybody, without exception, said something incredible about John. Like you're talking about, these are operations people that have intimate knowledge of the relationship and know how it's progressed over time. So there's something that I can't really replace there.
I mean, I know John would walk out of an onboarding and have it in his mind, okay, we got to come back around to this guy in 3 months as long as he's still happy. So I wouldn't be surprised if John was actually doing a little bit of nurturing even there along the way, knowing that he has that plan to come back in 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a guy, his name's Joel. I've chatted with him on LinkedIn. He started a company called Case Study Buddy and sold it to a larger company called Testimonial Hero. And he calls that, which I like the concept of proactive storytelling and building your customer storytelling process into your whole customer experience where you're getting information, you're sort of planting seeds, you're building towards, like, maybe you start with a testimonial and you use that as information for whether this person would make a good case study candidate. And it's also a way, like, maybe you have a great customer and you talk to them a year later after they've onboarded, they may not remember everything. So if you're having more quarterly check-ins where you're having certain, even if it's 3 or 4 questions that you ask each time that you can sort of track over time and at least have this information that you can reference, I think it just makes when you do the interview much better and you have all these data points to fall back on.
It's interesting, actually. I think you hit 2 points there too that I didn't think about that are probably valid. One, we had a testimonial bounty. And so a lot of our testimonials, I mean, you look at our testimonial page, we have enough testimonials, right? Well, the whole thing is that every time the support team sees something positive that they could turn into a testimonial just in a in the support ticket, they're supposed to ask, hey, thanks for saying that. Could we just take this piece and put it up on the testimonial page? And the support person actually gets paid a bounty for doing and and so that probably tunes the team a little bit to be a look on the lookout, right? It's just a tuning in a small way. And then the other thing that you mentioned is kind of think of it, we did. I mean, we had customers there were the customers that we did a check-in quarterly, there were customers we did a check-in biannually, and then there were the customers that we checked in once a year, right? And so the fact that we had that process for those regular account check-ins kept the conversations going as well. And I think that also gave us the opportunity because then you have a great quarterly check-in, you can come back a month later and say, hey, you told me this story. We'd love to do a case study.